Good morning to all you fabulous people out there, all those amazing Australians that are waking up and doing your best to find truth, real information about what's happening and so on. I greet you with an amazing cup of coffee in my relaxed position out the back, and this is the right way to fight this war. There's a time to apply yourself in the things that matter, and then there's a good portion of time where you sit back and relax, enjoy being human, enjoy the beautiful universe, the skies, the birds, all those things. Find that place of peace regularly, so that you can fight from that place of peace and relaxation, having slept well, having great relationship with everybody around you to the best they'll allow you to have, etc., etc. So today I wanted to talk to you about some important things. I'm going to talk on a little higher level, not about the government system or the overall system, so on, but more about how we're going to interact when things get even more loud and confusing and frightening, when they're trying to do certain things, when they're coming through the doors, kicking through your doors and things like that, which is more than likely to come. Okay, I always leave it open that if enough of us stand up quickly enough, that no future is set as a permanent. No end future is set as a permanent. It's only going to go that way if we're not willing to change, to be the right people, in order to do the right things, say the right things, do the right things, etc. So therefore, there can be a definite positive future, one where we are completely free of all this tyranny, one where all of Australians enjoy each other's company and respect each other. We all mind our own business, but we're available to help and assist if somebody else needs it. And we know our place, we're confident in who we are, we don't have to bicker, we don't have to insult each other and all those things because of our own insecurities, and our ever hungry need for more and more and more when it doesn't satisfy us anyway. Those sort of things. So that amazing future that can be achieved in not too much time, only a few years. This is not going to, I say it's going to happen quickly, but quickly is not going to be a few days, a few weeks, a few months. It's going to be a few years. Okay, so we need to dig in. Most wars take a couple of years. All right. However, they have had 7-day wars and things like that. So the beautiful thing is, always believe for a miracle. Always believe for something amazing to intervene at the right times and to shorten the path. Okay, and if you speak it, there's power in your words. And I'll talk about that a little bit down the track in the video, okay? But the reason I've decided to cut straight to this is, I know that based on things that I'm learning, people I've spoken to of credible positions and so on, all around the world, that they have a big plan, okay? A big plan of deception in numerous things. It's going to get to a point that we won't be able to trust any of our natural senses. You won't be able to look at something and be confident that it's real. If it's a video of me talking, for example, they may well have taken previous videos, cut pieces, put it together, use the technology to change my facial expressions and my voice tone and all those things, so that it would appear it's me and I'm telling you, giving you messages that are discouraging, or that would cause you to run out and vote or something in a particular direction, or any number of deceptive things, that it won't be me or anybody else that's trying to work alongside you, etc. They'll try dirty tricks like arresting us, anyone that becomes a leader in any way, they'll arrest us and assault us and maybe, depending on how far it goes, even torture us and so on, like any other war, okay, and try and break us. And some of us may break, some may break. So the army, so to speak, that I'm trying to encourage you to get involved in needs to be one that you're not looking to leaders unless you absolutely need to, but rather that you understand you're a leader in your own right. If we have an army that are all generals, we're all generals, none of us are privates. That way we can all be encouraged. We can all feel powerful and carry a great weight of authority and so on. Now, just like generals, of course, there's always generals that you can look up to and respect in their area because they have greater expertise, they have greater knowledge in that area, or they've got better skill sets, or whatever it is. They have a better speaking ability or whatever. So what I'm trying to encourage you is to understand, think of yourself in the highest rank possible. Believe in yourself that way, speak accordingly, but with the respect and so on that should go with it, so that others, don't hear you saying that I'm this and then not hear or see it in its equivalence, because that'll discourage them and you'll just sound like a fool. So it's better to not label yourself as something, just act it out as though you are, if that makes sense. That way they can't hold you to anything. To them, you appear like a private, but you behave like a general. Okay? We're going to have to get good at looking and listening with the same senses that we have in the physical, but that we also have in the spiritual. So when they cut off our communication via phone or any of those things, we will be able to sense what's going on, rather than sense it within our inner being, rather than relying on the exterior. Now, my father used to be an A-grade pilot, and he used to train people in how to fly. And at times he had to train them on how to fly through dark clouds and storms and so on, where you couldn't actually rely on any of your normal senses. You could have been flying upside down for all you know. And therefore you had to learn to rely on the instruments displayed in the plane. It would tell you whether you were flying north. It would tell you whether you were flying upside down. It tells you which way the plane's leaning and all sorts of things like that, how high you are off the ground, etc. We're going to have to get good at listening to that inner voice that's always been there, and it comes with practice, so you're not going to get it right all the time. So begin practicing in every way you can now, okay? When you fine-tune it, and it's a bit like a radio, the old style of radio where you roll it across to trying to find a channel, and then you start to pick it up, but it's a bit scratchy and whatever, so you get it the best you can with the main dial, and then you move across. Remember, there used to be another dial that you moved across to, and you fine-tuned it. Okay, so me speaking to you about it, and you being willing to choose to believe there is a universal voice that speaks into each of us individually that we can all tune into, like the radio, the one program, but everybody can tune into it. It means you'll start looking for the dial to scroll across till you find it, if you're somebody that hasn't become aware of that yet. If you are, you're probably already trying to find it, but now you need to fine-tune it to find out, to make sure it's the correct channel. There's other voices out there too, okay? Find the correct channel. That's why I encourage people always to look for truth. If you find the channel of truth, it won't matter what other people are following that are also tuned into it. As they're learning, they may have different names for it and all of that, but if it's still guiding them in the basics of truth, then eventually you'll all discover the name of truth, and you'll all be confident in it, and you'll all be aware it's the same name. The interesting thing is it actually runs by many names, and I don't want to confuse you too much. It does run off many names, but when you funnel it down to the one main name, you'll understand. Okay, now that's quite a bit out there for a lot of people, and don't worry about it. If it's too much for the time being, just take it like a book of information you're not sure about, and just put it on your bookshelf for later. If it turns out that I'm wrong, toss that book. If and when it turns out to be right, you'll know what I mean, and you'll be able to pull that book down and open it up and begin to explore it with greater understanding, because you'll have journeyed a long way by then, and you'll have more reassurance in things that you'll have discovered that line up with what I'm talking about. Okay? So, yeah, eventually they'll cut us off. They're already trying to do it through Facebook and things like that, but They'll cut us off through phone conversations and emails and all things like that. They'll keep anything open that suits them, and they'll close everything they can that they don't want to allow us to communicate on. Okay, so yeah, if I repeat myself, it's because I actually tried to make a video earlier, and a message came through and spoilt it all midway. So I've had to restart it. So forgive me if I repeat things. Okay. Yeah, we won't know even things that are being presented, even if it's somebody you've spoken to numerous times, and then you get another video through and it gives you information that just doesn't ring true. It just doesn't sit in your heart. Everything you know of the person, or everything you believe they stand for, or whatever, who knows what they've done to that person to make them say the opposite, or to try and lead you down the garden path somehow. So get good at listening. Every time you're reading material, of course you're looking with your natural eyes, reading it, but learn to read with your heart at the same time, because either that information won't be accurate at all. It might seem official and everything, but it won't be accurate at all. Or part of it is accurate and part's not, 50-50. Or maybe everything's right about it except for one paragraph, or maybe it's down to one word. That inner voice will speak to you. You'll sense it when it's right, and then all of a sudden there'll be a check, and it'll be like, what's wrong? You know, ask the universe, what's wrong? And then it'll point to you that it's the word. It's that word. Look into that word. Go and research that word. And you'll discover there's something very important about that word that you need to know for yourself. The universe is actually the one trying to point out that word to you. So it might be all wrong except for one word. And the universe needs you to understand that word. Or it might be all right except for that word, and the universe is warning you about it. Okay? Or you'll be watching a video of me and just there's no peace. You won't experience peace. Learn to live in a place of peace. Okay? If you start to get anxious or whatever, it means something's not right. If you start feeling disturbed about what's being said or what you're reading or whatever, it means something's not right. Okay? And then the voice will talk to you, and it'll start to lead you. So you won't know why. You'll get woken up in the middle of the night, or you'll be doing something, and that voice, you'll just get an urge to go for a walk, and you'll be walking, and you'll go into some strange building, or and be very careful. I'm not saying you should start doing this just straight off the bat, okay? Or it might lead you out into a forest or something, and what do you know? 3 other people that you've been used to talk to on Facebook about these things, and you've been disconnected, they're standing there too. You get chatting to them, what are you doing here? And you're like, well, I just had this knowing I had to come. Okay? So the universe is going to talk to us individually through avenues that they can't break. They can't divide us in. Now, for some of you, this will all seem weird, okay? And that's all right. Call me weird if you like. Just because I've journeyed into areas that you're yet to discover doesn't make me weird unless you choose to label me that, okay? It's only weird in your opinion. And I respect your opinion based on your level of understanding at the moment. I won't insult you in my belief system in areas that you know. I don't know heaps about how to put together a helicopter. I've never done helicopter mechanics. And if you're something like that, how can I judge you on something you're talking about? It'll sound weird to me. You know, if you talk about things that I've never knew existed, then I'm going to have to decide whether or not I believe you as a possibility. Perhaps you are speaking the truth, or I'm going to have to decide that you're a nut. Right? Well, I choose to believe you're an intelligent person, and I'd like to think you think the same of me, or you're willing to at least give me a chance to prove myself. And you'll find out that there's experience, many experiences I've had that are very real, extremely real, and when I've walked them out, I've been able to help tremendous amount of people, and or I've made a big difference in my own life for the betterment of myself and my family and so on. So I'm not talking some airy-fairy stuff. I'm talking stuff that I've put to the test and proved time and time again. Okay? Excuse me while I enjoy my coffee. Okay, so the universe is using this time to use foolish, immature things, foolish, immature environments, very frightening ones at times, so on, and they're going to get more frightening as they unleash more things, to begin to wake people up. See, a loving parent never leaves their child in a silly place. It eventually, the parent will eventually do something, even if little Johnny doesn't understand it. Little Johnny, you've been misbehaving for too long. I've given you every opportunity to change your ways and so on. Come here, Johnny, bend over. The most loving thing for you right now is a loving smack on your bottom. Now, for anybody who immediately takes offense to that because of the current teachings and so on, just put it on the shelf for the time being, okay? If you want to keep looking at the bigger picture, we've had an environment created deliberately to cause offense. None of us can speak anything that we understand to be right if we're the ones who personally have journeyed down that path, without somebody else taking offense and believing something else, okay? That's the whole system, and we're going to have to get good at checking that emotion as soon as somebody says something, oh, we're offended. That means we're childish. It doesn't mean the person speaking is childish. They could be completely accurate, and therefore you're completely wrong, or maybe they're completely wrong and completely convinced, right? But it's still your reaction that's childish and immature. You can't handle the fact that another human being isn't 100% right somewhere in their life. There isn't a person on the planet that's 100% right in anything. So that means that we have to be offended with everybody if that's the case, unless they are willing to listen to and follow our belief system exactly when we're not even right in everything. Otherwise, we have to be offended with them. Then we go through the process that the government system's operating, where we're offended. So now there's an offence, there has to be a punishment, okay? And they're trying to say that, I'm offended, so I'm the victim. Well, only your emotions of your own free will have been hurt. The person said something, right or wrong's irrelevant. It's worse if they're actually right and you choose to be offended, because that means now you're not even mature enough to listen and learn. Okay? So now that's an offence. Oh, I'm offended. See, the government's offended because you're not obeying their road rules.